Meghan Markle has been dragged through headlines before, but nothing has set her off quite like this. A parody video barely 5 minutes long has apparently triggered a royal-level meltdown behind closed doors. But here's the kicker. It didn't rely on made-up drama, wild conspiracies, or deep fakes. It just held up a mirror. And what stared back? A version of Meghan so on then knows so hilariously accurate that even her most loyal fans couldn't defend it. The video, a satirical skit titled "With Love Meghan," featured conservative YouTuber Megyn Kelly and commentator Megyn Callahan poking fun at Meghan's curated lifestyle, her questionable quotes, and the ever-growing gap between her words and her reality. It wasn't brutal, but it was sharp. Too sharp apparently, because according to multiple inside sources, Meghan's legal team is now exploring defamation options over a parody. The timing couldn't be worse. Meghan has spent the last few years carefully positioning herself as a champion of freedom, feminism, and truth. But now she's threatening lawsuits over satire. Not even South Park, with its notoriously savage reputation, got this reaction when they roasted her and Harry. And let's be real, that cartoon episode was way harsher than anything Megyn Kelly said. But Meghan's camp wasn't laughing. The parody video didn't attack her character. It exaggerated it. And that's the difference. It mimicked the perfectly casual all-cashmere kitchen outfits, the obsessively curated chicken coop routines, the beehive as a metaphor for authenticity. It echoed the tone-deaf elitism hiding behind a smile and organic jam jars. And it worked because none of it felt like a lie. It felt like a translation. It was satire, yes, but it cut deep because it wasn't absurd. It was familiar. The type of content where you laugh first, then think, wait, did she actually say that once? Legal threats aside, what really shook people was Meghan's reaction. She didn't shrug it off. She didn't clap back with grace or humor. She went straight to her lawyers. And in doing that, she proved exactly what the parody implied, that her image is so carefully controlled, even the smallest crack sends the whole thing into chaos. This wasn't just about being mocked. It was about being exposed. The parody worked because it didn't create a new Meghan. It stripped away the PR fluff and exaggerated what was already visible. The influencer-style branding, the forced relatability, the "I'm just like you" energy served with gourmet biscuits and chickens on miniature picnic tables. What's wild is how the internet responded. It didn't rally behind Meghan. It laughed hard. And not just because Megyn Kelly was being petty, but because the parody felt more real than the original. Even media analysts started chiming in, saying things like, "You know you've hit a nerve when the Duchess calls her lawyers." The Strand effect kicked in immediately. The more Meghan tried to control the narrative, the bigger the parody became. It's now floating all over social media, racking up views not because of some promo push, but because people are genuinely entertained and honestly a little shocked that a woman who's built her brand on being strong and unbothered is this bothered. And don't forget, this isn't just two random YouTubers. Megyn Kelly's platform is massive. Her audience isn't fringe. So Meghan picking this fight isn't just risky. It's strategic suicide. Instead of proving the parody wrong, she validated it by overreacting. Which only leads to one question. What's Meghan so afraid of? Inside Montecito, where Meghan and Harry live behind guarded gates and manicured privacy, whispers are getting louder. Her inner circle isn't just concerned, they're confused. Because instead of letting a joke blow over, Meghan is reportedly fuming, demanding accountability from anyone who dares mock her. The irony, this isn't a first. She's been parodied before. She's been slammed by tabloids across continents. But this time, something hit different. This time, it came from two sharp-tonged women who didn't back down, didn't sugarcoat, and didn't care about royal titles. What rattled Meghan wasn't just the content of the parody. It was the delivery. Megyn Kelly and Megyn Callahan weren't angry. They were calm, smiling, unapologetic. Their tone was surgical, not cruel. That made it sting worse. They didn't have to scream to make their point. They simply acted out Meghan's words and behavior, sprinkled with a bit of satire, and let it speak for itself. There was the cashmere kitchen bit, a jab at Meghan's obsession with appearing effortlessly elegant while casually mentioning luxury in every sentence. Then the infamous picnic table, a doll-sized picnic bench placed in front of her chickens meant to feed them frozen organic vegetables. These were real details pulled from Meghan's interviews and documentaries, not invented ones. And that's what made the parody so unsettling. The internet wasn't divided. It was united in laughter. Even some of Meghan's usual defenders stayed quiet. No Hollywood A-lister came to her rescue. No brand issued a statement of support. Just silence. A telling silence. One that suggested everyone was tired. Tired of the curated perfection, the contradictions, the endless cycle of playing victim and influencer all at once. Then came the legal threat. According to sources, Meghan's team is exploring whether the parody counts as defamation. But the law is clear. In the United States, satire is one of the most protected forms of speech, especially when it targets public figures. Meghan Markle, by every definition, is one. Legal experts have already gone on record saying any defamation claim would get tossed immediately. There's no case, no damage, no false statement. So why pursue it? Control. That's what this is really about. Meghan doesn't want to win a lawsuit. She wants to send a message that mocking her comes with consequences, that even if she can't win in court, she can still scare people into silence. It's a strategy often used by powerful figures with fragile egos, and it rarely ends well. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly is thriving. The parody clip exploded across platforms. New viewers discovered her channel. Her audience doubled down in support, praising her for saying what many think. Meghan, on the other hand, saw her image take another hit. Not because of what was said, but because of how she reacted. What makes all of this even more surreal is Meghan's brand. For years, she's wrapped herself in social justice messaging, positioned herself as a modern feminist icon, a voice for women everywhere. But here she is using legal intimidation against two women who dared to joke about her. That's not empowerment. That's censorship. And in Hollywood, where public perception shifts with the wind, this move wasn't bold, it was brittle. Publicists are whispering that Meghan's becoming a liability. Brands are hesitant. Partners are pulling back. Not because of the parody itself, but because Meghan made it a story. Because instead of letting people laugh, she told them not to. And no one likes being told what they're allowed to find funny. Behind the smile, the speeches, and the filtered Instagram moments, Meghan Markle is losing something more valuable than brand deals: control. The moment she threatened legal action over a 5-minute parody, the narrative slipped from her hands and landed squarely in the court of public opinion. And out there, perception is everything. People aren't just laughing at the video. They're talking about what it exposed. Meghan's obsession with image, the curated vulnerability, the spiritual influencer tone wrapped in designer cashmere. It's all starting to feel more like a performance than a personality. She presents herself as the voice of the voiceless. But the second someone mocks that voice, she wants to shut them down. That's not leadership. That's panic. What's wild is that none of this would have blown up if she'd ignored it. But by trying to silence two commentators with a mic and a camera, she amplified everything she didn't want people to notice. The overly polished aesthetics, the contradictions, the carefully scripted victimhood. And while Meghan's team scrambles to find a legal foothold, Hollywood is quietly backing away. Executives who once touted her as a trailblazer are now asking uncomfortable questions. Is the public still interested? Is the brand too volatile? Is associating with Meghan worth the backlash? The Spotify deal vanished with a whisper. Netflix, once her biggest cheerleader, is quietly cooling off. Her podcast flopped. The archetype's trademark faded into irrelevance. And this latest legal threat, instead of reigniting her relevance, has only poured gasoline on the growing fire of public skepticism. It's not about whether Meghan is right or wrong legally. It's about what her reaction revealed. Her instinct wasn't to shrug it off or reclaim the joke with charm. It was to threaten. That move didn't make her look strong. It made her look insecure, especially when the parody was lighthearted in tone, but dead serious in subtext. Megyn Kelly and Megyn Callahan didn't need to scream or rant. They let Meghan's own quirks do the heavy lifting. That's what made it sting. The jam jars, the chickens, the curated relatable lines like, "Just cut your edible flowers from your windowsill." It's parody at its sharpest, exposing truth through exaggeration. And now the public's asking questions Meghan never wanted in the spotlight. If you preach media freedom, why try to censor critics? If you say you're misunderstood, why shut down anything that doesn't flatter you? If you left royalty to escape control, why act like royalty when someone jokes about you? This isn't just a PR stumble. It's a branding collapse. The empowerment narrative doesn't hold up when your first instinct is legal suppression. The feminist icon image crumbles when you threaten two outspoken women for cracking a few jokes. And the internet, it never forgets. The parody is now a symbol, not of cruelty, but of clarity. It cut through the fog of polished quotes and selective interviews. It reminded people that when someone spends too much time curating perfection, the smallest laugh can shatter the illusion. Meghan Markle had a choice. She could have owned it, laughed with the world, and moved on stronger. But instead, she chose to fight a battle she was never going to win. Not in court, not online. Not in the minds of people who've grown tired of the polished surface and are now peeking behind the curtain. And what they're finding isn't scandal. It's just a woman so obsessed with her reflection that even a joke feels like an attack.